Acting on credible intelligence and technical tracking analysis, operatives of the command successfully traced and recovered the missing Lexus 330 vehicle belonging to the deceased on 22nd June 2026. And that was the actual lead, because in the course of tracking the principal suspect, Juwon, we could link where the vehicle was abandoned very close to the house and location of Juwon, and that was the first lead we got in that investigation. Although the ignition key had been removed and the registration number plates detached from the vehicle, detectives recovered the vehicle registration plate concealed underneath of the seat, which enabled investigators to positively identify and confirm that the vehicle was the property of Madam Olaketan Oyesiko. One critical piece of evidence recovered from the scene was a handwritten note apparently left behind by the perpetrators. We met her lying facing upward to the sky, and we saw a paper, a note on her chest, and we equally found the same paper differently spread on the table in the living room, and discovered that that one met on her chest, the handwriting was totally different from others that were spread. The family identified the other papers on the table as the deceased handwriting, but the one we met on her chest, the family said, no, this is not her handwriting.
Hello and welcome to Reporters Lounge on Ogun State Television. I am Simiata Baru. It's been a while on the program, and it's glad to know that you're on the other side, always keeping tab with Ogun State Television. This morning on the program, we'll be looking at critical issues in the course of the week in the dailies, and of course State Police will be topping the list of what happened this particular week, and of course whether that is the solution to security and political or a political risk in Nigeria at this moment. We'll also be looking at Oyo State's rescue effort, whether there is progress made so far. Death toll in Lagos building collapse hit 8, 26 rescued, and of course, finally, we'll be looking at Kichon Oyeshiko's murder with justice be served, just like you've watched the Commissioner of Police, Ogun State Command, talking about the latest and the development. Will also be addressing that. To do justice to these reports for today, we have two gentlemen of the press here. Emmanuel Oke is here. Thank you so much for being our guest on the program. It's good to see you again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
All right, we also have a veteran in the industry, Akim Adigbenro. Are you shocked I refer to you as a veteran?
I'm not a veteran.
So what are you?
I'm a journalist. Good morning.
A veteran journalist. Okay, thank you so much. The debate over state police has gained momentum following the passage of a constitutional amendment bill by the National Assembly that would allow states to establish their own police forces subject to further approvals. Supporters argue that Nigeria's centralized policing system has struggled to address rising insecurity, including terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, and communal conflicts. They believe state police would improve local intelligence gathering and response times. And of course, you have critics saying they fear the governors would misuse state police to intimidate political opponents and suppress dissent. This, of course, was part of what the former president, who is now late President Muhammadu Buhari, expressed when he was not interested in giving approval to what was being proposed at that time. That's the state police policing system. I don't know if you were happy. I don't know your reaction when you heard that they have passed this particular bill into law, and of course at the National Assembly. And yes, the reactions from different stakeholders and the concerns also expressed by critical stakeholders as well.
Now, the truth is, my reaction is mixed. in the sense that a long requested demand is finally on its way to fulfillment. And in the second vein, or the mix of the reaction, is a little pessimism as to how it will be done on time. Now, without a doubt, state police is the way to go. Of about 25 federations in the world, Nigeria inclusive, we're about the only one or one other one who don't have state police. That is a decentralized policing system. Considering the fact that it was what we were operating before, while we were still practicing parliamentary system before we moved. So it's one thing we forgot to copy when we were transiting from that. Besides, the complexities of insecurity and the various issues we've had in Nigeria today has made it obvious that we need state police, in the sense that, one, our federal policing is overwhelmed, and in the sense that apart from being overwhelmed, the scope of crime is too large for them to face, considering this. And with the rising level of insecurity, and there's a saying that security is local, and the circumstances surrounding the local nature of these crimes, it is without doubt that state police is the way to go. It's going to help out, it will put off pressure off the federal policing. However, there are some legitimate concerns. One of my own concerns is the pessimism as regards timing. For instance, this administration, upon coming to office in 2023, came up with the local government autonomy since 2024. It has not taken effect even as we speak. So, and local government autonomy is even easier to do, in the sense that after legislation, before legislation, that is what should have been. It's like correcting a wrong. This one, you are setting a structure afresh. It requires more tactical, more knowledge. There's no need for training for local government autonomy. You just open an account with the CBN and receive your funds directly from the federation account. But this one will require a lot more. There's the complexity of funding, the complexity of structure, the complexity of organogram, the complexity of board level operation, that is the council or commission level. There's the complexity of these other issues. So on the issue of whether to be a political tool, it's a fear that is coming too early because of the distrust we have in ourselves. Now, the truth is this: one of our major challenges, or our major challenge in Nigeria, is that we don't build institutions. Rather, we build humans. If we build an institution, it will come with the natural safeguards against politics. Now, this morning I read and I've listened to Nwebwe, the Deputy Chief Whip of the Senate, who has now clarified that the state police will not even be involved in election duties. So I think we should let it start, and there will be no cause for alarm. Okay,
Akin, talking about starting, because that's where Nigerians are more interested. You know, we also argue the fact that we have a lot of policies, a lot of you know, things like this that we're actually not fully implementing. Do you see the governor, the set of governors that we have right now, do you see them as people that are actually ready to take the mandate in their hands, of course, to get this fixed once and for all?
I think yes. Yes, there may be some kind of pessimism around, but I feel that because of the prevalent insecurity issues that we have right now in the country, before now we used to see that kidnapping and banditry were more of the north central and the northern parts, but now that is coming down south, it shows that the issue of insecurity does not know any bound. It doesn't know any state. So it's an issue that is you know, beyond region. Is everybody's concern right now. So I feel that maybe because of the issues that we have right now, issue of insecurity, banditry, kidnapping, and all whatnot, nobody is safe. Even the governors know that if they don't do this thing now, in the nearest future. Who knows? Maybe.
So whatever it is that we are discussing about the state policing structure now that we have, it entails the governors have more money, you know, to prosecute whatever it is they need. And of course, over time, they've also been talking about the revenue, the sharing formula. I don't know if that is also not what we should be talking about now, whether the state, what the state gets at the Federation Account Allocation, you know, committee, whether they've been able to get to arrive at a particular point where they've changed what the governors will be getting, because they will need more money as we speak to prosecute this particular bill. I don't know if that is not going to be.
I think beyond whether the governors will have more money, my concern is not about state policing being enacted. My concern is the way we have treated, just like Emmanuel said, the way we have treated our systems over the time. Obasanjo came with EFCC, ICPC. At the end of the day, it became a tool in the hands of politicians to run after opponents, ensure that they are in captivity. So I think that beyond whether the state government will have more fund, my own concern is the fact that the federal policing system that we have, how are we treating the officers? What is the state of their barracks? When you go out and you see an average policeman on the road, you don't even encourage your wards or your family member to join the force, because they are seen as they are not seen as people who you can, you know, emulate or want to be like. So I think beyond that, what the government needs to do is to ensure that even while setting up the state policing system, you need to go back to how we started our police in the first place. Their wages, the salaries, their welfare. You can't believe that right now even an average policeman is in charge of his kids. They buy their boots, they buy their uniform. And if that is what we are going to transfer into the state police, it shows that we are not learning or even ready to tackle insecurity. So it means that if you are going to continue on that trend, the people that will be employed or will be engaged in the state police will have the same mentality of they are not taking care of us, we need to go on the road and, you know, sort ourselves out. So beyond all the structure of establishing state police to tackle insecurity, the main goal is to ensure that the personnel, their welfare is taken care of, and you should ensure that the structure is, you know, the structure and the system is, you know, big enough to go beyond the governors or even the president that will be in charge. So with that, then that is when the personnel can have the mind to go all out to tackle insecurity, because they know that even if peradventure anything happens to them, their family will be taken care of.
Okay, when you look at what we have presently, for instance, in Ogun State or maybe the Southwest, it's you just look at it and there have been different proactiveness level on the part of the leaders of the country in different regions now. For instance, you talk about the Dawn Commission, the Amotekun inauguration, and of course the incorporation of, you know, these people in terms of intelligence gathering. You have the So-Safe Corps in Ogun State, for instance. You have the Amotekun already existing in Ogun State. Will it be so much of difficulty? Will they experience so much difficulty when it comes to bringing up, you know, the state architectural policing system with these ones on the G that have also been working before now?
Now, that decision will rest solely on the shoulders of the governor and his executive cabinet. It's a matter of choice. They can decide to upgrade the existing structure, bring together So-Safe and Amotekun and incorporate them, upgrade them into state police, or start afresh. Now, I say this because there's an existing legislation that creates Amotekun. At least I'm aware of that. So you can't just throw it away. You either amend that rule to match the state police, or you're going to have to go with the state police. So it's a decision of the governor, the assembly, and the executive committees. But if we now look at our costs and say, we cannot afford to start hiring people afresh, to start setting up logistics and doing this, let us upgrade what we have into state police. So it's simply going to take the State House of Assembly reenacting or totally jettisoning the Amotekun, the Western Nigeria Security Bill, and replacing it with the state police, and you convert the operational equipment, manpower, and everything of Amotekun. So it's a decision of the governor. They look at the pulse of the state, how much we're willing to invest on this, and how much time. If it's something we want to do as a matter of expediency and urgency, the right way to go would be to onboard what we have. But if they want to take time to say, let us start from scratch, and we're not in a hurry, say maybe set a 2-year timeline to achieve it, they may decide to hire afresh. Either which way, it's a plus for us in the sense that we already have innate or cognate experience as to how to run a local policing outfit. So it's something that should not give states in the southwest problem. Even Lagos has the Lagos Neighborhood Security Watch, which can also be converted if they so choose.
The bigger part of this is the people, how the people are going to react, how the people are expected to respond, and of course be part of the security of the nation, and of course at the state level. Over the years, you've seen, narratives, spreading, saying that, the people, security is everybody's business, and they have also said that no amount of uniform men we put on the street or we put in the country or in the state or in the local government would solve the problems that are basic to politicians, at different levels. Do you see the need for the different leaders to also up their games in terms of the dividends of democracy alongside what's providing security for the people?
Yeah, definitely. You know that there's an adage that said that the leaders are a reflection of the people they govern. It shows that leaders or politicians are not supermen. They didn't come from the moon. They are part and parcel of the demography that we have in the country. So if you have a leader misbehaving, it's just a microscope of the citizens' behavior. So I think beyond setting up security outlets, the citizens also have a role to play. Everybody security is everybody's business. If you hear something, you say something. But unfortunately, because of the disconnect and distrust that exists between the governed and the government, and even the system in this case, the police and other architecture of government, it becomes very difficult for participatory security system in Nigeria. But I believe that maybe once we have something that is closer in terms of state policing, because for me, I'm also a disciple of beyond state police. We should have community policing. So maybe by the time we start having something that is closer, people you can relate with, when you have a commissioner of police that comes from your domain, it becomes easier for you to, relate with them. So maybe by the time we start having those close gap between the police and the citizens, it probably draw the citizens more closer, and then the intelligence gathering can be up. But definitely, there's need for everybody to be involved, or the citizens, the politicians, and the politician must also see that the police is not a tool; they are a service to the people, and the police must also see the citizens not as a subject, but people that you want to serve.
All right, still talking about security, the discussion, of course, the abduction of pupils and teachers in Uriri local government area of Oyo State. Governor Seyi Makinde has repeatedly assured residents that security agencies are working to secure the victims' release. The federal government has also intensified effort deploying special teams and approving the recruitment of 1,000 forest guards for Oyo State. However, the difficult terrain of the old Oyo National Park has complicated rescue operations. Security agencies have reportedly made arrests linked to the kidnappers' network, but questions remain about the pace and effectiveness of the rescue effort. This, of course, is going into months that we've started talking about, weeks now. We started talking about the abduction that took place in Oyo State. And just like, everybody talked about the need for security, protecting lives, government came out to say that they are not going to pay ransom. While some are encouraging government to pay ransom, the reason they are still there is because ransom is not being paid. So different angles are coming into it. The security of these children, they are very, very innocent children for that matter. Of course, we consider them as soft target for whoever, the kidnappers now, at the end of the day. So what exactly do you think government should start doing beyond what they've been telling us?
Actually, I think otherwise. They should not be telling us anything. My actual hope is that one day we'll just wake up in the news and we'll hear that they've conducted an operation and that they have rescued the children. Or maybe we'll wake up one day and they will say the children are back home because whatever conditions have been met. However they want to achieve that, I don't care. I have discovered that the presence of too much information in the media is one of the issues
do you
responsible.
See us? That's our industry, because yes, at the end of the day, when you read some of this report, you get to hear a lot of things, about, some would say this is not supposed to be.
Now, as much as
our own quest for information is also driving what we get to hear from the government.
Yes. It's a catch-22 situation. There's a need to report ongoing happenings, but there's also the need for responsible reporting, rather solutions reporting or developmental reporting, as the case may be. You find a lot of reports surrounding the issue being just speculative, which is further compounding the woes of those who have been kidnapped. Then the government itself is also trying to do this damage control by giving little information. In security operations, it is allowed for you to say, at the moment, we don't have any information to give. That does not equate to nothing is ongoing at the back scene. Now, and I draw this from just one single thing, beyond my initial suspicion, which is the last we've heard from the kidnappers through the principal of the school. They showed her media reports. It shows that as much as innocent citizens, those of us outside, are also looking for information, these ones too are also looking for information. So what they do with that information is different from ours. We are just seeking information out of curiosity. We're seeking information out of the need to report. They are seeking information to know what the government is doing. On this matter, I spoke to a journalist, it's my friend in Ibadan, and I did a full 1-hour interview with him. And he kept reminding me, he kept reiterating that there are some information he has that should not be made public because it may jeopardize rescue efforts. So we don't want to hear from government, either from President Tinubu or from Seyi Makinde. We're tired of the promises. I am tired of the promises. I just want to wake up in the news one day and read that the children are back home in one piece and going through rehabilitation. Okay,
I want to specifically mention a particular report, a video that went viral about this particular case. The one that was the comments made by the Speaker of Oyo State, who was talking about the demands from the kidnappers, and immediately you saw a rebuttal sort of from the kidnappers saying that they did not actually make those demands, that they were actually looking for their members. And that's also to talk about the sensitivity of security and, of course, the information spreading all over. He talked about, the need for us to protect the intelligence of rescue operations, going on presently. And our own quest as reporters, we need to report what is going on. We just want the information. What is government doing? You also mentioned a fact that we know from, experience, that if we keep quiet, nobody is talking about anything. They're not giving anything. You probably assume that they are not even doing anything. That's our government, the trust deficit. Are we capable of leaving it to them to go and just sort and give us the result?
All right. This scenario will bring me to a question I was asked some time ago, that who determines the news? Is it the people or the journalists? In this scenario, we are trying to ensure that the people decide the story, and that is the other way around. It's not supposed to be.
We set the agenda.
We are not the one to set the agenda. So I feel that, just like he said, in security matters, there are some certain issues that shouldn't be, let out there. Just like you also rightly said, there was a statement from the Speaker of the Oyo State House of Assembly, and there was a rebuttal from the kidnappers. It shows that these people also see this information and they use it for their own good, which is to our own bad. So I feel that some of this information shouldn't be out there. When you look at security operations around the world, when Osama was arrested, there was no fuse about it on radio or on TV. And the operation took almost 3 years. And there was nothing out there. But the operation was ongoing. When the America decided to invade Libya, there was no information out there maybe on CNN. But at the end of the day, the operation was going underneath. And it was the results that the people decide to see. So I feel I'll go with what Emmanuel has said, that henceforth, because some of this information, whether we like it or not, is something that also the kidnappers receive and decide to use. Like what happened like about 3 or 4 days ago. We saw Sunday Igboho and his men went into the forest with drone, and it was broadcasted, and the result is the fact that yesterday we saw that the men that went with Sunday Igboho were shot, and some of them sustained several injuries because of the confrontation they have with probably the kidnapper. So I feel that sometimes, especially in security matters, there are some things that whether people want to like it or not, we are still the one to set the agenda, and not the people to tell us what they want to.
So the we now is now in folds. There are the conventional journalists, the ones that are trained to be, but of course with the advent of social media, we're having different, the dynamics of reporters. Some are not trained, they just assume that role. They have their phones, they have cameras, they just go anywhere with reports. And you also have the politicization of security along the line. You have oppositions, as being speculated. It's just a point for you to get, you just don't want the administration of the person that you want to take the job to be successful, so that you can have something to prove. So that politicization is also there. And then the polarization of this, is it quackery in journalism? You get. So exactly how do we specify the we?
No, you have raised very crucial issues. The reality on ground, and one thing we must live with, is that social media and its accompanying journalists, that's citizen journalists, have come to stay, and they are going nowhere. What is however required of us as practitioners and as professionals is to set the pace, and that is what other countries are doing that we are not doing. Because of our laxity on how we have handled this, it is now sad to see that we now rely on social media for information. You have situations where your editor is even calling you from the head office to say, have you not seen these videos being spread online? Go and report it. So it's supposed to be the other way around. It is we that we should report, and social media will now pick it up from there. So we need, as professionals, to first provide leadership in the area of reporting, dissemination of information, and that way we'll be able to counter this thing. So you can't throw them away. They are here to stay already. And the nature of social media also gives them speed, but does not give them accuracy. So we should rather push accuracy and speed at the same time, so we are not left behind on these things. Now, the truth is this. We should do it in a way that anything seen on social media should be taken with doubt as to the veracity of it. But surprisingly, the other way around. People now believe what they see on TikTok more than what you tell them in the news. They feel we are complicit. They feel we sit down with governors, they feel that we are in the pockets of these people. So it's something we need to adjust and work on, really, if we must keep the sanctity of this. On politicization, it is unfortunate. One of the reasons why the Oyo State children are still in captivity is a lack of synergy between the federal and the state governments. They are both trying to spin a different narrative, but it is obvious that there's no synergy between them. And you see this in a lot of things that I can't start even going into because of the limitation of time here. So that politicization of our fight against insecurity will take us nowhere. It will just lead to unnecessary loss of lives and property.
All right, still talking about the security of lives in Nigeria. This particular one, we're moving to the next one, which is the death toll in Lagos building collapse. Now hit 8, 26 rescued. A 3-story building in the Alakija area of Lagos collapsed, leaving at least 8 people dead and 26 rescued. Emergency agencies including LASEMA, NEMA and Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service responded swiftly to the scene. Preliminary reports point to structural failure as a possible cause. This is becoming more and more a tragic situation, and I don't know, each time there's a building collapse, you see a lot of proactiveness at that time. And the next thing, you get to hear that some buildings have been marked for demolition. They say, oh, there's still politicization of marked buildings. Oh, the owner of the buildings will still go after the agencies involved. A lot of things you read online, and of course, you don't know where exactly to point at. How well are we faring in this duty to protect lives and property in respect to buildings and structures in Nigeria?
Beyond the issue of building collapse, I've seen that in several, almost all the facets of the Nigerian economy or even our lifestyle, we don't obey rules and regulations. And obeying rules and regulations is beyond the citizens this time. Sometimes even the governments are complacent in making sure that things are done the right way. If you do a survey of houses in Lagos or even in Ogun State, for example, you hardly see a 50% compliance with the building plan because everybody is just, building the way they like, and the quality assessment is not there. Ordinarily, by law, that is there. And because the government are not, ensuring that this law are strictly adhered to, when you purchase a land and you want to build, there are several documents you need to submit to the government: your building plan, your survey, the layout, the topography of and government will now advise on the kind of houses that you have to build at that particular spot. But nowadays, you see someone purchase a land today, and before you say Jack Robinson, the house is already on 3-story building, where ordinarily the topography of the land probably might not be able to support more than just a story building. And those are the things that government has failed to do. So when you see that a building collapse, there are so many factors that have really affected the citizens themselves, the government, even the laborers want to cut corners where you're supposed to use 6 bags of cement. You decide to, so many factors. So at the level that we are, there's need for government to up its game. You can't really find collapse building in some climes because you must at some point do the testing of the integrity of the house before you continue the next stage. So for me, the onus is still on the government to ensure that the personnel that are in charge of ensuring that there's quality delivery of houses is done. Because even if you look at the government estate here and there, you find the same thing. The quality sometimes you begin to ask yourself if government can build this kind of estate for citizens, would they be able to have the moral right to accuse citizens of doing something like that?
Okay, when we say government, at the end of the day, you discover that there are people driving what we call or who we call the government, and they are you and I, citizens of this same country. And along the line, even the people complaining are the ones we found out that they are actually the ones largely responsible for most of the things. So how can citizens better see themselves? Or maybe government workers now, maybe we restrict to the government workers or wherever we are serving to do what is right. That it is, if you don't do what is right, the consequence is what we see all over the country.
Now, it's a very large issue. Citizens want to do what is right. It is government that has discouraged them from doing what is right. Now, when citizens even now choose not to do what is right, it is still government that must enforce what is right. Now, let me just paint a little picture. I buy a piece of land and I want to build. As a Nigerian today, I see no reason why I should pay the government for it. Now, the law is there that I should pay and do social tests and do social tests. But when you sit down and look at the value of what input will the government have over that payment you have made for whatever certification it is, you see that it is next to nothing. So that is what is responsible and has driven us over the years to this point. For crying out loud, we built cocoa houses in Ibadan and it has not fallen since then. So what are they building? So it tells you that when things are done with the insistence on doing the right thing, we can always do it. But you
the
tell me now, the thing is this. We have, before manpower, we have commercialized simple regulatory activities. It would amount to nothing. We don't have to make money from building plans. We don't have to make money from regulatory oversight to say this is what you want to build. We advise you not to build this. But when you look at the cost the government will give you for these things, people will look at it and say, why should I pay? Then lack of manpower, we have manpower, but we don't want to do things the right way. I want to do AK's job, I want to do your job, so you want to do mine, I want to do the cameraman's job at the same time. And that is why we have problems. There are professionals. There is the Nigerian Building Code that is there that states the role of each professional in the building structure. But you find somebody, because I know bricklayer 1, 2, 3, and I know where I can get laborers, I'll bring them together and stand as supervisor on the site with no knowledge, no experience, nothing, and I practice and I build skyrise. Now, you look at the instance in Lagos, which is something that the government also needs to sit down and critically evaluate. There are coastal cities all across the world. As much as we have rivers, we have coastal cities lying along them. But of the popular coastal cities, Lagos is about the one with the smallest land space. So now, remember when there's a popular saying in building that when you can't go right and left, you go up. But you go upland, where the land is strong to carry your building. So it's a dilemma for Lagos in the sense that there's no space to go right and to go left, and you need to go up. But you are going up on the coastal land, on Inyori. So it's going to require much more than what is to be done. Extra pile foundation, what we call, it's not even German foundation. You do extra pile. You go down, down. And before you know it, you're also close to water again. So it's a dicey one. As a matter of fact, if Lagos State government is serious about building, they should have a construction company at this moment that must take charge of all buildings in Lagos State. That way they are assured of it, and they should make sure that corporate corruption does not come into it. Because it is clear already that these constructions are failing. There was one that even killed the owner of it. They got approval for 13 floors and they were building 18 and still climbing. So these are some of the issues that we have, and it must be looked into. There is regulation for this, there are laws, there are professionals. Let us just do the things the right way. Now, we also need to learn in Nigeria that when a rule is subverted, the impact might not be immediate, but it is there. So one person has cut corner in Lagos now, and it has led to the loss of 8 lives and many injured. And that is what we're saying. If they say this thing, do it. Just do it. And that's it.
Loss of money and loss of time.
Okay, the doing it is also one part. The who is telling me to do it is another. You just talked about if government said this is amount to be paid, and then you look at doing it, like just pay the money.
What are they offering?
What are they offering me? The questions are always coming. You're battling with a lot of things. The trust deficit at every front. You don't know whether the person telling you to do it is actually telling you the right thing. And some would say that in Nigeria, we have, it has now become a culture, you know, the culture of, oh, do it as you like. Nobody is in charge until there is crisis. That's when everybody starts running a helter-skelter. I think we should draw more on that particular culture that we're saying is negative for us. And at every point, wherever you're turning, left, right, center, up, down, everything is being affected.
How did we get here? You should ask yourself, how did we get here? Some people in the Christian palaver will say, and it was not so from the beginning.
Exactly.
So it shows that so many things have accumulated into how we got to where we are right now. Even beyond building, just like I said, beyond even in sports, politics, anything you can mention, everybody's just doing everything the way they are, because there's no clear-cut leadership. There's no clear-cut leadership. I told someone that a picture of a man that's traveling abroad, you know, leaves his house in his car and decides to drink a bottle of water, got to Nigerian airport, he decided to throw the bottle outside of his car. But 6 hours later, he arrived at Heathrow. That same man buy a bottle of water and he cannot throw it out of. What is the change in 6 hours? It's leadership. It's the system. And the system is not about the people. It's the government that will, you know, drive the system and drive the leadership. I usually, and I will continue to say it, before now, I usually say that the citizens are maybe 60 to 70% of the cost of what we have. But I realize that even in Nigeria, it's possible for government to ensure that there is clear-cut change in less than 1 year. In this same Nigeria, in Cross River State, for example, let me use because I live there and I will continue to use the example. The leadership of Governor Donald Duke changed the dynamics of that state. There was a time in that state that you cannot even drop a pin on the floor, because you know that by the time you drop it, in less than 1 minute, somebody is coming there to arrest you. And that's what government will need to provide. So if the government provide leadership in all the facets of our living of the country, be it in sport, be it in media, be it in academics, in education, be it in health, and the citizens know that if you do anything wrong, there is consequence. If you go to Nigerian prisons today and you see people on death row talking to you with confidence that, don't worry, I will still meet you outside. He's telling you that there's no consequence for what he has done or what he has been accused of doing or what he has been arraigned and prosecuted, and you know, at the end of the day, there's a judgment on him, because he knows that maybe he knows 1 or 2 people that will meet with the government that will probably give him a pardon in the nearest future. So there must be consequence for doing things bad. There's consequence for doing something good also, so that it can encourage people to always do the thing.
I forgot to mention when we're talking about state police and of course the kidnapping case in Oyo State. We've had different cases of governors not signing a death warrant, and of course, can that still continue? Can they still continue with such practice?
Well,
looking at
the issue of death warrant is a topic on its own already. But we can just quickly touch on it. The world is discouraging the ultimate penalty, that's the death penalty. So Nigeria has signed a lot of charters, a lot of things surrounding this, particularly because even countries with the most accurate judiciary. They've discovered years later with the introduction of DNA that most of the executions they did in the past were wrongful deaths. So, and besides, it is that place of don't take a human life is still a thing, a sentiment that's reigning in the world now. But apart from that, one reason why they don't sign here is, one, the trust in the judicial process. They very well know that we don't have a thorough process. Back to what Eke was saying, we don't have a thorough process in our judiciary. There's, even regardless of confession, even with evidence, there's still a margin of error in our democracy, in our judiciary. Look at political decisions in politics, and you see how it is. So it tells you what our judiciary is like. So governors are also aware of this, and they are not signing. Besides that, what facility do you use? There were a lot of executions when the world was using firing squads. But now with the advanced and modern guillotine, I'm not sure any federal prison has this advanced modern guillotine to do this. So it's something they're moving away from.
Okay, we're talking security again, and of course a really sad one. There has been a murder, of course it was reported in the course of the week, of one of our veteran in the industry, a mother per excellence to a lot of us, a mentor per excellence, the murder of the veteran broadcaster and retired OGTV staff, Mrs. Keaton Oyeshiko, popularly known as Auntie Keaton, alongside our security guard. And of course, the beginning of this program, you watched an update coming from the police commissioner in Ogun State and telling us about the development. 3 suspects have been apprehended, and definitely we believe that justice will be served. This is a case, you know, a lot of people are commending the police command already for trying as much as possible to ensure that the suspect are apprehended, the people that actually committed the offense apprehended and are served. How do you react to that?
Sincerely, yesterday I was at the police headquarters during the press conference, and I saw the 3 young men, and what came to my mind was that these are 3 young men who decide to take a wrong decision. These are 3 young men who, by virtue of one of them speaks very good English, who by virtue of life itself could make something better for themselves. These are 3 young men who, by, I don't know how to put it, but at the end of the day, I feel that maybe there was a disconnect somewhere. A disconnect maybe from the family, a disconnect maybe from the upbringing, or maybe from their interactions with their peers. And that is why they decide to take that decision. And when asked for the film sets of all excuses that you want to teach her a lesson, Emmanuel, yes, I was like, so if someone is dead,
how do you
now ascertain that the person has learned the lesson? And of what essence are you trying to teach her a lesson? Someone employs you through a company, pays the company directly, and the company pays you, and you decide to inflict your anger not on the company that you work with, but on your indirect employer. That's, for me, is a decision that I can't still really phantom since yesterday. But I believe that with the way the Nigerian police have gone about the investigation and then arrest of those 3 suspects, I also believe that justice will be served. And beyond justice being served, we as the living, we should also probably take a cue or some learning.
Maybe the lesson is for the living.
I don't know. It's something that I don't know. Let me just leave it. I don't know.
Okay, Emmanuel. The swiftness the state command has been commended, and I'm sure that it's really a sad story. You know, you talk about the vulnerability of the person involved, taking advantage of that, a woman, the environment, and of course, you look at the deeper question of security in the country.
Well, it's a humbling one, an emotional one to sit down and discuss Kiton Yeshiku this way. It's one that has really shaken the foundation of many of us, and may her soul rest. And during the press briefing yesterday, the elders in the house, I can mention some, including the NUJ chairman, drew out a point, the failure of society. Now, the failure of this one, either of society or of their parents, of whatever, has inflicted undue pain on friends, family, relative of the late person. It's an unfortunate incident. I commend the police for this speedy yet meticulous job. Yes, they did a very good job. The margin of error is slight, but there's the margin of omission. And omission in the sense that, well, the company involved may not be directly liable, but there should be some level of vicarious liability for them. And it's unfortunate if you look at the details. It says it's teaching a lesson because he was a former employee, has left, and he was not satisfied with the remuneration that he was granted while he was working. And you'd have expected that person to take it up legally or through any means with his own employer, rather than the person whom you have been charged to protect. So it leaves a very bitter taste as to she's been proactive, she was proactive, that's why she hired a company, did things the right way, yet the system failed her. And it's very unfortunate. I pray for further investigation on this, and I hope that it does not just stop at this once, and it cuts across everybody responsible in one way or the other. May her soul rest, and we commend the police, but we're asking them to do more this time. There's still some question marks, some gaps that need to be filled. There's still some serious questions that will require answers to. It's not a linen we should wash here publicly, but we'll take them up on that further and ensure that things are done the right way and true justice is served.
Really, it's really sad that we have to be discussing Antiquiton here this way. Yes, you look at how she has been so many things to so many people. Beyond OGTV, the industry itself in Ogun State and beyond, she's very active. And when I say she's active, she knows who is doing this one. She monitors everybody, the ones on radio, the ones on TV. And she would find a way of reaching out to you. Whether you are somebody she's aware, she knows personally or something. If she does not know the person, she gets across probably through the bosses of this person to ensure that a particular correction or to get a commendation across. And that, of course, I commend. You know, most times we don't always value most of these things when they happen. And each time you see her call, you're looking at, I am somebody that takes criticism, you know, to be positive because this person wants me to be better. So each time I see the call, each time I see the message, I know that this person wants me to be better than what I'm doing. And that's why she's saying this. And my friend was also telling me that she came across, I think she anchored an event and she saw how she delivered the event and she was like, you're doing well, where do you work? And you know, from there she started monitoring her and they became so close. She would give her corrections, and I think this is a big legacy that she left behind. We don't know, life happens, and of course we just pray that life doesn't happen to us or any of us again this way. It's a terrifying experience. The trauma You know, I was just looking. What exactly?
I read your piece, and I don't know if I can share a little experience. I had before now known her from a distance, little interaction until we were doing something in Akiali, and she said, "Oh, you are the young man, Emmanuel," and she gave a full professional critique of what I do. And since then, I picked a lot of vital lessons from that critique. Now she's saying she knows how to correct with tenderness and love and a mix of professionalism. So, you know, a higher authority, an experienced person is telling you this. Sometimes you sit back and look at those things and say, well, those are the truths.
Exactly.
And they are golden, and she'll be missed. It's a library that has been burnt, a library of broadcasting. Erudition, diction, pronunciation, enunciation, a lot. I don't want to curse, I don't want to swear, but I'll leave it at that.
All right, and this is where, of course, we'll be drawing the curtains on today's edition of Reporters Lounge on Open State Television. Security is everybody's business. Just ensure that you are on top of your game. Every now and then, watch out. The people around you working for you, we just need to keep watching over ourselves. God bless us.